All right, we are live. All right, I'm joined here today by Gabe McCoy with Pierce McCoy. He's the managing partner and founder of Pierce McCoy, and this is the Journey to $100 Million podcast. Gabe, thanks so much for coming on. Just a quick note: Gabe is our Pierce McCoy is our law firm of choice at Array Digital. They helped us with our merger and with a lot of other things as we navigate the business growth that we have. So, Gabe, thanks so much for your support and welcome on. So,
Thanks for having me, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So, we'll get through some questions here and we'll make this quick and easy. So, tell us about yourself and what do you guys do?
Myself and what we do. Well, I was born in Texas, grew up there and in St. Louis, and then I moved out here to Virginia to study law in 2008. And quickly got teamed up with some local guys that served as mentors and really just helped me hone my trade craft. So personally, as a corporate transactional attorney, I was able to make some friends and get introduced to some folks who helped me along the way. And now, I live here in the Tidewater area of Virginia, practicing corporate law, and I'm married and I have my first child who's a boy, and he's getting chubby and he's healthy. So I'm happy.
Well, congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah, very exciting. As far as the firm, Pierce McCoy, at our core, we're corporate transactional. And so, we've been in business almost 8 years. We're coming up on 8 years in March. So I guess 7.5. And at our core, we represent companies and their owners. And so as we've scaled and expanded, I think we're 15 attorneys now. Our focus has been adding personnel that's really dialed in as far as practice area. The law, like so many industries, has become incredibly niche. And so in order to deliver value at a good price, you have to be able to focus on just one or two things. And so we've added lawyers that just focus on our companies' individual needs, whether it be IP, labor and employment, civil litigation, corporate structuring, you name it. So that's really where we've been focused as we've been growing. And then geographically, we've scaled in some other kind of mid-size and larger markets. So we have satellites in New York, Austin, Texas, and Richmond. So that's us in a nutshell. And of course, when we have, amazing friendships like you and Eric with Array, to me, that's really my true joy is the legacy clients of building those relationships. And every 3 to 6 months, you get an email because we're all running 1 million miles a minute. So when I get an email from you or from Eric, it always is like, it's actually a reminder of why we're doing this every day. It's not a one-off traffic ticket or, some criminal defense. It's a relationship. So that's really the business we're in is relationships. So I'm really excited to be talking to you, though. It's good to catch up.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and likewise, it's this is a journey, and same with us with our clients. It's a partnership, and it's not a one-off thing, and that's why we stopped that business. It's really an ongoing relationship and results, and just being there to help each other out along the way. So, tell me a little bit about. I mean, you kind of mentioned it a little bit in there, but tell me a little bit how your firm's grown, I guess, in the past couple of years.
So it's been really interesting. And I would say, our growth has been a little unorthodox, and it's been just with a lot of blessings and hard work. But it started off with Nat Pierce and myself. We co-founded the firm April 1, 2013, and immediately joined up with Josh Pierce, who's a partner. He's heading up our Austin office. And from there, as we've added attorneys, the growth has been really just trying to keep up with the demand. And it's interesting when you look back and you get multiple years of data, you see, years where profit margin might shrink and you say, why? It's because we added 2 lawyers or added 3 attorneys and some personnel so it's pretty much every year is like a huge CapEx on labor, personnel, and resources, followed by years of better bottom line numbers. But for us, I think the last figure I saw was year-over-year average growth, top line revenue of an average of 69% is our average top line year-over-year growth. We'll see what happens with COVID after we digest the new joy of that. But it's been pretty exciting. And the hardest part, I will say, not that that's the question, but as part of the growth has been because we're in the relationship business and we normally don't do one-off transactions where it's like, hi, my name's Bob, we help Bob and he leaves. It's how do we add and train up our team to be able to service an ever-increasing volume of work and still have that personal touch, because we are at the end of the day a service provider, no different than a plumber or electrician or any other type of service provider, accountant. So I mean, clients expect for you to return their calls, their text messages. These are business owners. They're not, they expect a certain level of service and white glove treatment. So the service level has been always a challenge to just stay up on that. And then also just delivering consistent results. So it's always, that's a challenge whether you're flatlining or not, but to grow on top of it and cash flow your way through, that's been something that we've been focused on.
I can definitely relate to that. So, well, you mentioned a little bit there, COVID. So, question I'd like to ask is, how's COVID impacted your firm and maybe the different practice areas within the firm?
Sure.
If any at all at this point.
I think it hasn't. The only impact it's had on the type of work we're doing is we've seen a huge increase in companies getting analysis for its labor and employment issues, with all the on-site premises regulations and some new laws that got passed in the last 3 months, specifically targeting employers, both whether it's the PPP program or some of the new COVID-related acts that impacts employees and their rights. That's been a new area of focus, right? Representing companies through those issues. Solvency is a big issue. So we're starting to see an uptick in the volume of solvency engagements as well as bankruptcies. And we have a bankruptcy attorney, a commercial bankruptcy attorney, Jonathan Grasso, out of our New York office. And so he's been getting very busy. So between labor and employment and bankruptcy/solvency, those are the two key areas we've seen growth in. Everything else has been kind of odd, right? It's like, hey, we want to do this capital expansion, but we're going to pause it. Or I can tell you one thing, we've had a lot of settlements in civil litigation. I think people are just hoarding cash, in my opinion, and they're looking at their legal bills and they're saying, how do we cut back? Do we really want to be fighting over X cents on the dollar? Are we willing to maybe make an accommodation and settle as opposed to continuing to fight? So we've seen a lot of settlements with organizations and litigation. And for us personally as a firm, I mean, Kevin, I don't know, it's a little stressful, but we've hired 3 lawyers since COVID hit and 2 additional support personnel. So our growth plans haven't changed. Certainly we're being very hawkish on cost and trying to cash flow well. But when a client calls and says, hey, I owe you X, you did a great job. Instead of paying net 15, net 30, can I spread it out over 3 to 6 months to just help me through my challenging times? As a firm, we want to be able to say, well, of course. And we do. More often than not, we're more than happy and we're willing to accommodate. Like any business, right? You have to learn to kind of shoulder the burden with your clients. Now, when that happens 100 to 150 times a month, you have to be cognizant of where you're at financially and be careful about how and where you're allocating time. So as a company, as a law firm in COVID, I'll put it this way, we haven't had to cut pay. We haven't had to furlough. We haven't cut comp, which to me is a huge blessing because there's so many firms. The norm is that most firms in America have cut cost with furloughs and cut attorney comp. So knock on wood, we haven't had to do that. So I feel very fortunate.
Well, that's excellent, man. That's good stuff. I guess similar to the report here, we've only hired more and we've never cut anything or anybody. And we're thankful for that.
Yeah.
And so that's really good to hear, man. I love that. So last question for you. I know you got a meeting coming up. Actually, we have one comment here too from our good friend Eric J. Olson. He wants to know when you're going to grab that beer you talked about.
Well, the last time we talked, he was in a cast because he, I think, tried to make an athletic move and something shattered and he was repairing. That was the last time I saw him in person. No, I'm kidding. Anytime, man. You shoot me the invite. Shoot me the time.
And here's the thing: he's doing like a triathlon, so he's not even drinking beer. So
Yeah. Well, why don't we go get a spinach smoothie? It's your favorite little spot. Come down to Norfolk where you used to dwell. I know all the place. You remember downtown, right, Eric? You're welcome back anytime, man.
he's probably like, "Where? I'm in Chesapeake." No, he's in a field somewhere. All right, last question. Is there a marketing strategy that works especially well for you guys, for your firm?
We have two verticals, two channels, so to speak. One is historical, one is new. The old method, and this is my own personal, I'll speak personally. When I moved here and didn't know anyone, I began immediately I would get an introduction to someone. I'd take them out for lunch, beer, coffee, whatever it may be, and I'd ask them how I can help them and who they would like to know. And then I immediately began trying to find people that they were looking for that wasn't me, right? And then I would connect them with that other person to make an introduction so they could facilitate some, benefit, some exchange of value. And the old adage of learning and finding ways to make other people money, to me, is important. That's been my number one marketing strategy, is have resources across the board and just connect people. Because what you do is you've taken now two people and you've imprinted yourself in their minds as to the why behind them doing business together. And so I found that is one key way. And then just to refer, other than we do have a labor and employment site that channels quite a bit of lead gen through. And that's great, and that's been great for us. That helps fuel a lot of the labor and employment work, which represents about 25% of our work is the labor and employment. But for the corporate transactional civ lit, it's 100% and has been since the beginning referrals. And so you find those half dozen kind of ancillary service providers that complement what you do but don't do what you do. And then you have them in your kind of toolkit in your pocket, and then you just actively try to place them with everyone you know. And that's worked pretty well for myself in creating a portfolio of relationships that feeds itself and that just brings more and more referrals in. And I think the mark of a success is not just delivering on time and on budget or close to budget, but if you can get a referral without asking for it, because I never ask. I've been told I should, but I don't. When you get a referral from that person, then you know you've actually done a really good job. So I'm big into the referral business. I'm big into follow-up, handwritten thank you notes, the old school personal touch. Pick up the phone when an email would suffice. Meet in person when you can, because so many people don't do that, barring COVID and all the other challenges you have to navigate. But the personal old school touch to me is still the number one way to build a professional or a service business. And then having when you have a lead source demographic that's a little bit less personalized and can be a little more of like a commodity cold intro where they're first going to the web to search, then yes, set up your channels, do your organic, build out all your metadata and whatever else you guys do for, that's as far as I know. And pay for it if you have to pay for it. But I guess the short answer is for me, it's always been about the personal relationship and the one referral at a time. And that's a very strong sediment of value that you can take with you and you can build upon it. And I try to encourage my colleagues who are younger to start that, because it takes years. It's taken me a decade of doing intentional relationship building. So I don't know if that answers your questions, but
that does. I'll add to that. That's something I worked hard on myself, is building that up, and it still pays dividends now. Obviously we do marketing, digital marketing, and lots of other things, right. But you can't beat a referral. Someone with their hand raised, they're going to be shopping around looking for other prices. Those are things that you got to do and need to be doing, but the referrals, you just can't put a price on those. And
Yep.
And actually, we created I made an internal referral sheet. So not only me can refer people, or only I, but my team can. So they work with the client directly. If that client needs help in some area, that they can go to our referral sheet, and you guys are actually in there. So Pierce McCoy, business law, you guys are in there. It's got your contact information, and that way they can confidently say, "Hey, you need a business attorney? Boom, here we got one," and that way the whole company can kind of help, give those referrals out as well.
Totally. Like, and I'm going to run past my 2:30. That's okay. I'll ask for forgiveness from the client. I think, to your point, like, for instance, when I'm in a meeting and somebody's talking about, I'm saying, unpack your revenue for me. And as a corporate attorney, you have to know at least the fundamentals of how your companies and clients function. But always looking, saying, well, you're going to have a mobile app? Well, who's developing that for you? Who's building it out? Do you have somebody know? Well, contact Eric, contact Kevin, call Ray, go check them out. And another good thing too, and this is something I would encourage your viewers and listeners, always circle back up with your referral sources, because their offerings might change, right? Like, you guys have, I think, recently, not to put words in your mouth, but like, you've had multiple iterations of y'all's offering, right? I mean,
digital marketing is our primary focus. So
right, which is a change. That's a pivot over the last 4 years, 5 years we've known each other.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But you guys have done an amazing job at that, and so always circling back up with your referral sources and saying, hey, this is the question I always ask them. No one asks this question, Harley. What are the top 3 questions or statements that, if I hear them, I should immediately think of you?
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's a good point, because, all those people in there that I know, they are CPA, or, you guys might add a practice that we didn't know about that has blown up for you, and that's become your primary focus. So that's a good point. And that's a good way, a good reason to connect, just reconnect and say, hey, I've talked to you in a year or two. Let's go grab coffee, or let's go touch base. And have you made any changes? Because I'm trying to get you referrals when I can. Is there anything new I should know about?
Totally.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, man. So that's it. I mean, that's really my trade craft, is just that one-on-one, and I'll keep preaching it no matter how digital and everything else. I mean, there's a role and a place, I think, for both, but I've known so many attorneys or professionals who try to start their own practice relying solely on digital marketing, and they all failed. Well, I know one guy who made it work, and he does criminal defense. But
that's true. I mean, we can market all day long. We can build out everything for you, but you got to be there to back it up. You got to have the people. It's got to be a human experience. It's got to have the customer experience. It's the customer service. All those things have to be in place. We can get anyone found on Google through search ads or SEO, but at the end of the day, that client would have to back up what they're saying they can do.
Yep.
And be able to give a good service so that they get referrals. But absolutely.
Yeah, man. It's just fun to connect. Oh, one other thing too. When you have your colleagues who get a referral and they're actually doing the work, I always remind my colleagues, because I say, hey, go help, XYZ Inc. They need this done, get first draft started, or whatever it may be. I'll tell them this was a referral from Cindy, from Bob, just so they know, like, oh, okay, this is important. And not that it's the client in and of themselves is critical, right? They're everything, but the referral source matters too. And so,
absolutely,
if you don't do a top, world-class job and deliver, guess who's going to hear about it? The referral source. So I think that adds that added layer of accountability, which I like, because I always tell so many folks on our team, if you mess up, I mean, in plain English, if you drop the ball, there's a high chance that over a cocktail, these 10 clients over here that you didn't even know, they're all going to hear about it. Like, the connectivity of a portfolio is so close, especially in Tidewater. This is a very small area. So
the 757.
The 757's a very tight-knit community. So
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, you got to do what you say you're going to do. Stand behind your promises and put out good work, and things will go good for you. That's for sure. So,
Well, I'm pumped for you guys with this podcast. I'm really what you guys are doing in this space and getting your message out and creating real stickiness in the marketplace of ideas. Honestly, is admirable. I wish I had the time to do it, but I think what you and Eric have done and your team has just been very impressive. So I'm really thankful that you guys let me come on and chat for a few minutes. Tell Eric to text me though. I got
absolutely. I think he's listening right now, so he'll
Eric.
get the message. So yeah, well, thanks for being on, Gabe. I really appreciate it. We'll be, I think we're doing some stuff with you guys right now, which you're helping us out with. We turn to you guys quite often, and we will be more and more as we grow. If you're a lawyer, partner of a law firm, and you're listening, and you guys need digital marketing, please reach out to us at thisisarray.com or find me, Kevin Daisy, on LinkedIn, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Absolutely.